So AOC and Jamal Bowman, and what I assume will be the squad and the Congressional Progressive Caucus, need our help. I know they need our help against AIPAC. Now, on the one hand, I think we all can universally agree that AIPAC has bought all of our politicians, both Democrat and Republicans, and they have made it very clear, or at least AIPAC has made it very clear, that their goal is to control the narrative to make sure no one challenges their perspectives, their policies, and who they're buying. Because let's be clear here, right now, the media and the establishment are struggling to maintain their narrative due to the fact of, well, all the war crimes that we are seeing in Gaza. Now, on the other hand, we got AOC, Jamal Bowman, and the rest of the squad and Congressional Progressive Caucus asking us for help. However, when we asked them for help, it was nothing but platitudes, word salads, and us being told to be patient and keep our powder dry. That's right. If you thought we forgot that, we didn't. And as we've covered in Hard Lens Media, and also other independent media networks have covered, how the Justice Democrats, brand new Congress, all the great bastions of the progressive movements that started with the aftermath of the 2016 and 2020 Bernie Sanders campaigns are now floundering. They're losing support. More importantly, they're losing money and volunteers. And now AOC and the rest of the squad need our help in order to deal with AIPAC, because AIPAC is coming after them. So sort of like an abuser in an abusive relationship, the abuser now is saying, hey, look, I'm in a bit of a jam here, and I need your help. And I promise, if you help me out, I'm going to change. I won't slap you or beat you up anymore. I won't cheat on you. I won't steal money from you if you just help me. Now, what do I mean by this? What am I talking about? Well, as it stands right now, and let's go ahead and pull this up right here. Jamal Bowman. And I need to give a shout out to Due Dissidents, because I need to send this to them right away. GOP mega donors are trying to run me, the first black person to represent New York's 16th district, out of office. They don't like when people like me have a voice, or when you accidentally pull a fire alarm, or was it an accident? The fact that you confused the fire alarm for an automatic door opener is pretty pathetic. That was a weak excuse. Because obviously a fire alarm, it's going to say what it is. An automatic door opener and a fire alarm, two different things altogether. They could spend their millions, but they'll never have the power of the people. Join me, AOC, and Cal Penn on Saturday as we fight back. Woo! Look at that. Hey, look, there's Jamal Bowman, AOC, and Cal Penn right there. Remember Cal Penn? Remember him? The actor? Then joined the Obama administration? So it's going to be Saturday, March 23rd, 6:30 to 8 p.m. Location, Queens, New York. Re-elect Jamal Bowman. And everyone's talking about it, right? Because Justice Democrats are involved in it too. But listen up, people. I hope you got your wallets ready, because it's only limited, especially for poor folk, apparently. Here from Act Blue, join Jamal Bowman. So here, let's go ahead and zoom in here in case people can't see. Hang on. Let's go ahead. There we go. So, Grassroots, early bird special, limited tickets available, $30 each. Guest, $50. An ally, and we all want to be an ally. $100, one free drink ticket for beer, house cocktail, or wine. Ooh la la, $100 for one free drink ticket? Wow! Oh, man. Hey, Jose Vega. Listen, boot up and suit up, because you got, and put on your dress suit, your best dress suit. You got an assignment, buddy. If you could be a patron, $250, you get not one but two free drink tickets for beer, house cocktail, or wine. If you want to be a friend, $500. 3 free drink tickets for beer, house cocktail, or wine. Hero. And who doesn't want to be a hero? $1,000 VIP reception. So there you go. I mean, you want to be very VIP. There's max out, $3,300. And double max, because it's a double penetration right there. $6,600. Who in the flying F, man, do they think they are? They're asking us for help now. Hey, pull out your credit cards, your PayPal, your Venmo. But limited tickets are available for these poor folk. Grassroots, $30 each. That's what you got to do there, lovelies. By the way, never forget, some of those squad members did vote for that Iron Dome. Don't forget that. Let's see. And Dan Burr, you bring out a very good point. These people suck, but replacing them with Israeli stooge is a terrible idea. I know. Shout out to Indie Left, who says, those New York City drinks are expensive, Kit. Oh, that they are. That they are indeed. Let's see. And Mastermind Hour, I bet Jose is shopping for a fake mustache and dark sunglasses, as he should indeed. But look, it is rather pathetic that we are here at this point. So let's pull up this video here. It's from AOC herself. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to see some Israeli puppet or somebody associated with AIPAC in their seats, but progressives in Congress, AOC and your fantastic friends, it's rather too little too late to start asking for help when people have been struggling. And when we needed your help for Force to Vote, March for Medicare for All, 3-day General Strike Summit meeting, Fight for 15, all that kind of stuff, you guys didn't act. You told us that we had to be patient. Plus, you kept on singing praises to Joe Biden. I cannot stop or control what is going to happen on election night. But to me, this is very clear. And to all of you in my viewing audience, this is a sign of desperation and also a way to sucker in people into, once again, supporting the Democratic Party.
No, I don't accept AIPAC money. In fact, I have joined an effort called Reject AIPAC, which is a fundraising effort by the organization Justice Democrats.
Justice Democrats that had to lay off people, had to fire people, that no longer has the push and pull that it once had way back in the day.
As well as several others to try to take on the influence of AIPAC this election cycle. Not only does AIPAC threaten me? AIPAC threatens anybody who believes in human rights for Palestinians. So have they threatened me? Of course they have. They've threatened me. They've threatened Rashida Tlaib. They threaten everybody. They've threatened Jamal Bowman. They've threatened all of us. It's very public and very well known that AIPAC has committed $100 million to try to defeat all of us and ensure that we do not win re-election.
Think about how much more powerful AOC and the squad could have been in theory, if they actually held the Biden administration accountable for its hypocrisy. If they actually really did do everything they could to form up and be a united voting bloc, like how Matt Gaetz got the Republicans, a lot of his most diehard Freedom Caucus supporters, into a voting bloc, especially with their Force to Vote. I only can imagine and theorize just how successful AOC and the squad could have been, not only through fundraising, but rallying large groups of progressives and independents to actually fight and push back against the neoliberal policies that are being implemented by both Democratic and Republican lawmakers. This fundraiser reeks of desperation and also the realization that the Democrats are losing their big tent coalition. Case in point, not only with the uncommitted voters, but also with everyone across the country, be they Black, Latino, white, men, women, young and old. And this is a way to perhaps maybe trigger those Democrats who might have some guilt, maybe, or feeling scared about truly breaking away from the Democratic Party. This is a way to sucker people back in. This is what this fundraiser on Saturday looks like to me.
Which, by the way, AIPAC has endorsed and supports over 100 insurrectionist members of Congress. That is Republicans that tried to overturn the election on January 6th. AIPAC supports their reelection too. And I think that, to me, tells the whole story. that this is an organization that does not support American democracy, and in our commitment to take on authoritarianism here and abroad, and fascism here at home and globally.
Okay, fascism. So that means what? The neoliberal Democrats, AOC, like Mama Bear, Nancy Pelosi, Chucky Boy Schumer, Joe Biden. That means taking out. It's easy. It's easy to go after Republican lawmakers. It truly is. However, it takes a lot of courage to stand up against the Democratic lawmakers, because the Democrats have perfected the neoliberal mask of smiling and pretending everything is just fine. AOC, we've seen you fight the Democrats. Oh, that's right. Hold on. Let me be correct. We've never seen you fight the Democrats.
We have to make sure that we are confronting the scourge of these organizations that try to overturn the will of the people by putting in big money into elections, and also try to organize against the constituencies that actually elect people who stand up for human rights and democracy globally.
Yes, that's right. Oh my goodness gracious, Cretaceous. So what is this organization, right? Okay, groups form Reject AIPAC coalition to fight Israel's lobby attacks on progressives. So this article came out March 11th. U.S. progressive groups working together to take on the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee and its affiliated dark money super PACs on Monday announced the launch of the Reject AIPAC coalition, which is urging candidates for federal office to not accept endorsements or contributions from the nation's most prominent Zionist lobby. Reject AIPAC says it will organize Democrat voters and elected officials to reject the destructive influence of the Republican mega donor-backed AIPAC on the Democratic primary process and our government's policy towards Palestine and Israel. Okay, you're going after Republicans, right? But AIPAC has donated to freaking Democrats, progressives. Seriously, those that think that you can reform the Democratic Party, you do realize AIPAC donates to the Democratic Party too. Hold on, let me say that again. AIPAC also donates to the Democratic Party as well. Wait, I'm sorry, I stuttered. I didn't pronounce that properly. AIPAC also donates to the Democratic Party as well. That means challenging the Democratic Party. Progressive groups forming Reject AIPAC. That means challenging the party itself. This is something that everyone in independent media has said and warned about. We have watched as AIPAC has done everything it can to silence growing dissent in Congress against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's assault on Gaza, which has killed over 31,000 Palestinians. That number is much higher now. Even as Democratic voters overwhelmingly support a ceasefire and oppose sending more blank checks to the Israeli military, the coalition said in a statement. Now AIPAC's Republican donor-funded super PAC, Democrat and Republican, let me just correct that, Democrat and Republican donor-funded super PAC is threatening to spend $100 million targeting the handful of black and brown members of Congress who have led the calls for a ceasefire and equal protection of Palestine and Israeli lives, the groups continued. So, okay. And Ilhan Omar writes, AIPAC has endorsed 109 Republican insurrectionist election deniers who voted to overturn the 2020 election of Joe Biden. You cannot be pro-democracy and endorse insurrectionists. Okay. Well, let's hit the YouTube rewind button. Remember this video? Here, let's play it again.
The American Israel Public Affairs Committee. It was incorporated in 1963. For 10 years prior to that, it was known as the American Zionist Committee for Public Affairs. AIPAC calls itself America's pro-Israel lobby, and according to its website, it has over 3 million members across the country in regional chapters working to, quote, expand and strengthen the U.S.-Israel relationship, end quote. You may know AIPAC as being one of the biggest and most recognizable donors to many of the members of Congress in your state. But contributing to campaigns is a relatively new function of the organization.
Which we have proven is probably BS because, number one, AIPAC's been around for quite some time. And two, you never know if they kind of did that, hey, I got some money underneath the table. I got money buried in the bird feeder. I got money, right there by the tree. Go ahead and get it. Go ahead and get it. Stuff that's off the record, I mean, come on. Let's have democracy in the chat. Type 1 for Kit. Listen, our government is filled with honorable people who have integrity. They have receipts and write everything down. Never once would they do anything underhanded like that, like taking money under the table and not documenting it. Shame on you, you awful, awful man. a type 2 now. There's probably a lot of underhanded stuff going on there. Stuff that's off the books that people don't know about. I wonder how many 2s we're going to get in the chat. And I wonder how many number 1s. Kit, you awful, awful man.
Organization. Before 2021, AIPAC did not endorse candidates nor give political contributions.
Bull.
Its focus was on lobbying elected officials, not actually electing officials. But in a dramatic shift in policy, AIPAC began directly funding candidates and spending big on races in 2021. AIPAC Political Action Committee, AIPAC-PAC, filed something called a Statement of Organization with the FEC just in time for the 2022 election cycle.
How convenient that they just did it just in time. Just in time.
Where it spent $50 million, including both direct contributions to candidates and outside spending like TV advertisements. According to AIPAC, it donated money to 365 candidates from both parties, including every single member of both Democratic and Republican leadership in Congress. 109 Republicans who voted against the certification of the 2020 presidential election in America received campaign contributions from AIPAC.
Yes, 109. What about Democrats? Yes, no, yes, yes, no.
All in all, AIPAC gave money to 342 members of the 118th Congress. The 2022 elections were the most expensive midterms in American history, with a total cost of $8.9 billion spent. Now, last year, AIPAC ranked 15th in...
Yeah, 15th. 15th place. Now, we played this video before, but I'm only playing it because it's important for us to remember just how crazy this whole system is. Because right now, at this point in time, which is pretty pathetic to me, and it should be pretty pathetic to all of you as well. Now, after all this time, because right now, 2024, like this is go time. The game is playing right now. If the squad and the people in Congress were serious people, they would have been consistent, fighting for progressive policies, and been doing more events and rallies to inspire and make their supporters enthusiastic to, I don't know, fight, canvass, fundraise, rally, do door knocking for these politicians. But no, they're waiting for the last minute for stuff like this. Hey, join Jamal Bowman and AOC to fight against AIPAC, which on paper, it sounds great. And again, you in the audience are bringing this up like, hey, I don't want to see Jamal or AOC get replaced by some Democrat stooge that takes AIPAC money. But it's almost too little too late, because what remains a big coalition that was founded in 2016 and by extent 2020. Like, that progressive movement is falling apart. And as this election cycle is showing, people are not supporting Joe Biden. And by that, the Democrats and all the politicians running for office are affected by that. Voter turnout is at an all-time low. Here in Illinois, only 20% of my state, that was the day before yesterday, 20% of Illinois people voted. And notice the numbers are drastically low. It's not good. Not good. But hey, Kyle Penn's going to be there. And if you really behave yourselves, hold on. I think I just took down here we go. And if you behave yourselves, here, if you work hard, you could probably get that early bird special, $30. Or be a guest, $50, or an ally, $100, or a patron, $250, a friend, $500, a friend, a hero, $1,000, max out, $3,300, or double max out, $6,600. Isn't that special?
In total expenditure by a political action committee, according to data collected by Open Secrets. But take a look at the other funders that AIPAC is competing against for that title. Act Blue and Win Red. They are Democratic and Republican Party machines. Save America is Donald Trump's money-raising operation. The Conservative Club for Growth, Emily's List, focuses on electing Democratic women to office. All of the PACs on this list are massively domestic-focused ideological machines. AIPAC is the only organization in the top 20 whose interests are focused entirely on America's relationship to a foreign government. Now, let's take a look at who benefits from AIPAC's largesse. Here are the top 20 recipients in Congress, the House and the Senate.
Now, don't show this AOC, because I'll break the narrative. But I'm noticing a couple of the Democrats there.
Of AIPAC money in the 2022 midterm.
In fact, wait a minute. You got Representative Richie Torres from New York State. What's going on here?
Term cycle, according to Open Secrets. They're members of both parties. They come from every corner of the country with varying levels of experience in Congress. The Democrat Glenn Ivey of Maryland tops the list. He beat out fellow Democrat Donna Edwards in Maryland's House primary after AIPAC poured millions into pro-Ivey advertisements and mailers. Edwards was running for a second stint in Congress after serving during the Obama administration, where she voted present, not even a no, on a number of pro-Israel resolutions. So the money poured in against her. Not even an endorsement from Nancy Pelosi could save her. Michigan Democrat Haley Stevens unseated Democratic Representative Andy Levin. Here's what Levin had to say about that.
I'm really Jewish, but AIPAC can't stand the idea that I am the clearest, strongest Jewish voice in Congress, standing for a simple proposition that there's no way to have a secure democratic homeland for the Jewish people unless we achieve the political and human rights of the Palestinian people.
AIPAC spent $4 million against Levin. He lost by 20 points. When Michigan Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, the only Palestinian American in Congress, was censured by the House in early November over what some lawmakers called her rhetoric around the Israeli-Hamas war, 22 Democrats joined Republicans in that censure.
22. But no one tell that to AOC. No one tell that, because they keep on vilifying the Republican lawmakers. And I get it. I get it's important for us to call out those that are getting AIPAC money. But just remember, it's not just the Republican politicians. It's the Democrat politicians, too.
Vote. 18 of those Democrats received campaign funds.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Hold on. We're stopping right here. Look at those Democrats. That's quite a diverse list right there. Men and women, white, brown, black. And they say that people can't get along. Well, let me just tell you something. AIPAC found a way. Just give them the color that everybody loves. Green. That green money. That green money that keeps on a-flowing.
Funds from AIPAC in 2022, totaling more than $1.1 million. By the way, for these 6 of them, AIPAC was their top contributor. A growing list of progressive lawmakers who are vocal in their criticism of the government of Israel and its policies and their support for Palestinian self-determination have inspired AIPAC to spend even more. As progressive lawmakers began calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, Slate reported that insiders expect AIPAC's 2024 spending to hit $100 million. In fact, United Democracy Project, which is a pro-Israel super...
You know, it's times like this when we're talking about money in politics, how it's crippling our democracy, how it's crushing everything. I just can't help but reminded of just how desperately we need real fighters in Washington, D.C., and how we don't have it. And it's up to us to really fight. So just to motivate you guys, because all of you are going to have to hold this quote to your heart, but I got to pull up this quote here from the great patriot himself, an outstanding truck driver, Jack Burton. When some wild-eyed, 8-foot-tall maniac grabs your neck, taps the back of your favorite head up against the barroom wall, and he looks you crooked in the eye and asks you if you pay your dues, and you just stare that big sucker right back in the eye, you remember what old Jack Burton always says at a time like that. Have you paid your dues, Jack? Yes, sir. The check is in the mail.
PAC affiliated with AIPAC is already spending money on attack ads against Democratic Representatives Jamal Bowman of New York and Summer Lee of Pennsylvania. Lee has already got a primary challenger, as do Cori Bush and Ilhan Omar. Pro-Israel donors have already signaled that they're eager to primary Rashida Tlaib and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Congresswoman Lee already overcame AIPAC's financial influence against her once. She tweeted criticisms of Israel's treatment of Palestinians in 2021, but as a candidate, she affirmed Israel's right to exist. But that's not...
But wait, hold on, folks. Just a quick reminder, because remember, AOC is asking us to help them out for their fantastic fundraiser. Now, to be clear again, I'm not a fan of these Democratic politicians and Republican politicians that take AIPAC money. But when we've asked her for help or call her out, she gets violent with her own supporters.
You refuse to call it a genocide in front of
No,
everyone.
I need you to understand that this is not.
It's not okay that there's a genocide happening. You're not actively against it.
You're lying.
I'm lying.
You're not.
You went on TV and avoided talking about it.
For what? Because now you can't say it's a genocide or what you're deciding your political race. You can't call it a genocide. How do you say we're not lying.
We're not lying.
You've been
We went on
saying it in
TV.
interviews. It's insane. You haven't been calling it a genocide. Don't tell me I'm lying. Then just say it's a genocide. Just say it. Over 30,000 people are dead, AOC. You can't just say it for once. Just say the word. That's it. That's all we want you to say. Or you're not angry about people confronting the public when you can't call it genocide. Over 30,000 people are dying.
Stop. Okay? Stop.
We're not doing anything. We're just talking to an elected public official. That's all we're doing. That's it.
Cut it, and you're going to cut this and you're going to clip this so that it's completely out of context. I already said that it was, and y'all are just going to pretend that it wasn't over and over again. It's fucked up, man. And you're not helping these people, and you're not helping them.
You refuse to.
You're not helping them.
Now, real quick here. Hold on. I just want to pull up this article again because it's easy for AOC and the progressives to start vilifying again the Republicans, but progressive lawmakers, including Representative Cori Bush, who authorized a ceasefire resolution co-sponsored by 18 House Democrats, and Rashida Tlaib, the only Palestinian American a member of Congress, have found themselves in AIPAC's crosshairs. So have more moderate Democrats who AIPAC believes don't show enough support for Israel. And you know what those Democratic lawmakers are going to do? They're going to bend over backwards to appease AIPAC, which is why people like Jimmy Dore, Hardlands Media, and everybody else begged AOC and the progressives in Congress to actually maybe form up a voting bloc, or dare I say it, maybe create a new independent party, a new independent movement that's not intertwined with the Democratic Party. Democrats who AIPAC continue on. In 2022, the group spent $4 million towards a successful effort to unseat two-term Michigan Congressman Andy Levin, a self-described Zionist and former president of a synagogue. Reject AIPAC is emphasizing the lobby's right-wing backers, asserting that we cannot let dark money super PAC, especially one that has endorsed 109 insurrection election deniers, 200-plus anti-abortion extremists, and is funded by former President Donald Trump and Nikki Haley's mega donors, undermine our democracy. Now is the time for the whole Democratic Party to reject AIPAC once and for all. Good luck. Do you see Joe Biden doing that? No, because he knew about what Israel was doing way back in October about targeting civilian residential homes, hospitals, community centers, refugee centers. So no, not Joe Biden. Nancy Pelosi, she doesn't even have a heart. Chuck Schumer, well, the only thing he said is that the people of Israel should have fresh elections once the war winds down. Not while the conflict's still going on or call for immediate ceasefire. That new elections need to take place once the war winds down. AOC, this is the party you want people to support? And while on paper, yes, be against AIPAC. I get it. But when you ask your progressive supporters now to show up, how many people are really going to show up? Join Jamal Bowman and AOC to fight against AIPAC. Yeah, great. You got Cal Penn there. All right, awesome. That sounds great. But also, you do realize that we are in economic crisis right now. $30, limited tickets. Maybe this should be your front and center thing, right here. But instead, no, 50, 100, 250, 500. Who are you expecting to show up that has that kind of cash money on them? Who are you expecting?
Not good enough. AIPAC spent nearly $3 million in the primary alone to defeat Lee, and they almost did. She beat Stephen Irwin, who is third on the list of money given to candidates by AIPAC in 2022 by less than 1,000 votes. And if Congresswoman Lee wants to keep her seat in 2024, she's going to have to do it all over again.
Yeah, and good luck, Democrats. Good luck, AOC. Because when you get violent towards your own supporters, especially when for years, even before this horrific conflict took place, when we've asked you to step up, you were telling us that now's not the time, we were being violent, that words are destructive, that this wasn't helping out anybody. And then you went ahead and gave a full-on endorsement to Joe Biden, the same Joe Biden who right now knew what was happening when the war started, that civilians, men, women, and children were being targeted. I get reject AIPAC. Sounds great on paper, but it's reeks of desperation and a ploy to sucker people back into the Democratic Party. It's weakness. So I want to pull up this video here. Just to remind all of you that we have to break away from these politicians, that we have to call out what's happening in Gaza.
Anybody who thinks that this PR idea is a good idea has absolutely lost their mind. I mean, if the U.S. wanted to get aid in, it wouldn't have to build a port, right? They wouldn't be airdropping aid in the way that they're making it look like, oh, they're helping the Palestinian people. Building this port gives U.S. precise access to the ground of Gaza. It gives it the opportunity to help more than it already has. The Zionist state wipe us all off, to have boots on the ground without having boots on the ground. You know what I mean? And so to me, this whole idea of we're going to get millions of, meals a day into the Gaza Strip, that's BS. I don't believe any of it. Anytime the U.S. says it's going to help, it does the complete opposite. We've seen this in Syria. We've seen this in Iraq. We've seen this all over the Middle East. And so the United States needs to get its hands out of the Middle East now. It needs to get its hands outside of Gaza right now. That port should not be built. Anyone who thinks it's a good idea has lost their mind and has not been keeping up with the U.S.'s war crimes for the past, 70 years.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, AOC, are you going to show up at one of these protests? Are you going to show up at one of these rallies? Are you going to speak at one of these events instead of maybe doing a fundraiser? Which, look, again, I get it. You got to raise money in this day and age. But maybe to inspire confidence and support amongst progressives, independents, then maybe you should show up. Maybe you should be there, raising the alarm, talking about what's happening. But instead, you're not. You're not there. And people need to call out these politicians. And I can't predict how November, the election night, will play out, what will happen in the long run. But just remember, so long as we just assume our politicians are going to have our best interests at heart, they're going to ignore us. And this little fundraiser that's going to be taking place over the weekend, it just seems like that failed attempt to, hey, come back into the party. And this time things will be different. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. I'll believe it when I see people like AOC actually call out Joe Biden for their hypocrisy, challenge Nancy Pelosi, stand up to Chuck Schumer. But they're not going to do it because that's the world we live in, because the Democratic Party, just like the Republican Party, is owned, and they play a game, this game of politics. There was a time maybe when people thought the Democratic Party could be reformed, but it's abundantly clear that it cannot be. Save your money.